Welcome everybody to the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee on February 24th. It's 6:01 p.m. In attendance, we have Keenan Francois,
Here.
Lisa Bloom,
Here.
Michael Bossier,
Here.
Randy Rush, that's okay. We'll wait for you.
Here. Sorry, my screen
okay.
minimized and it was hidden.
So I got all the committee members, correct? And then in administration, we have Brad Morgan, Nancy Haynes, Kevin Comier, Gary Reese, Aaron Upton, and Robin is our recording secretary, administrative assistant. All right. Moving on. Let's see. Our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, and that is an in-person meeting. All right. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda? Did somebody?
I had a question about that actually. Is the
Okay.
the January 29th minutes, is that there was some discussion that needed to happen on that, or
We can have discussion on that. That's
because I know there was emails about some edits to it, and I just wanted to make sure that was covered.
All right.
Carl is joining now.
Okay. And Carla's on. And we need Kim, or Kim's not on yet. Just recognize that. All right. The 29th minutes. Do we want to talk about them or pull them out of the consent agenda and talk about them individually? What's everyone's feelings?
We could pull them out of the consent agenda, vote on the rest of it, and then talk about the 29th minutes.
Sure. Let's do that.
All right. So first, I move that. Okay, should I move to change the consent agenda first and then vote on it?
Okay. Yeah, you can move to approve the consent agenda, excluding the January 29th minutes.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So then I move that we approve the consent agenda, excluding the January 29th, 2026 minutes.
I second.
That is Michael Labossiere and Lisa Bloom with a second. Any discussion on what Michael has proposed? All right, it is a roll call vote. Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Michael Labossiere.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yes.
Andy Rush.
Yes.
And Carla Lima.
Yes.
All right, and myself is yes. Consent agenda is approved without the January 29th minutes. Okay, questions about the January 29th minutes? We can go back to them.
Yeah, so I was looking at them, and it looks like the draft minutes that are up are still the original ones. Is that correct? With none of the edits?
Yeah. Yep. I generally will not make any edits unless the school committee instructs me to do so.
Gotcha. Okay. So I was looking at the email that Robin you sent back, and as far as I can tell, it looks like the thing to do would be to just take that original paragraph with the edits and replace it with the one that that Robin suggested in the blue above it. And I looked through that, and it seems to make sense to me. So, I mean, I would be fine with accepting the minutes with an amendment to replace that paragraph as suggested.
Any other questions?
I just want to clarify, since it's been a while since I've looked at this, at Robin's reply. Mike, when you say in the blue above it,
Yeah.
unless I'm reading it wrong, the blue was just the explanation.
No, the so above. So
But I think, Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt. I
Yep.
think, Mike, you're referring to, I think there were two comments.
Yes, there were two.
And so you talk about the second comment
Yeah,
where,
I was talking about the second comment. The first comment, I believe it was essentially that it was a paraphrase, but it still captures what she said. So there was no changes needed there, as far as I could tell.
well, Kim Craven has joined the meeting,
Oh,
so,
okay.
and she has her hand up, so she may want to comment on that.
All right.
Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you. So a few things on these. Obviously curious why we're wordsmithing till the nth degree on minutes. The important part of minutes is that the votes are what should be 100% accurate. Robin goes through a lot of effort to put detailed narrative, which is exceptional, but really not 100% necessary. I think it does allow us to recapture things. And in times when I see boards and committees utilize that is when there's more, sort of heated topics going on. But all that actually matters is a vote. So not sure what the intent of the changes are. I wasn't necessarily following all the changes. But as long as the intent is there and we have our votes correct, I want to make sure that we're not diving too deep into something that makes us go back to every single recording and make everything word for word, because I could go back in past minutes and say, hey, this was said just a little bit differently. And around this topic, there were things that were left unsaid, quite honestly, just so that we could move the meeting along. So
Yes,
if I could get clarification, that would be great.
If I could just clarify something for the committee, I generally try not to include, because I know this is not a transcript. I've been doing this a long time. But when there's something, like the AES discussion, I've been asked in the past to include more information. So I did that. If the committee prefers I don't do that, just let me know. I don't know if my response, the email to all of you, was helpful or not helpful. I'm here to make your lives easier. So, whatever whatever the committee wants me to do, I'm happy to do with the minutes. But I agree, Kim, with the votes, that's what's most important. By law, that's what I'm required to capture. Who was there, the time the meeting started, at the time it ended, who was there, and the votes that took place and who voted. So I think Randy has her hand up.
Randy. Yep, Randy.
I just wanted to add, yes, you are right, Kim, that there is no requirement to have a transcript or a lot of detail. But if there's going to be detail, I want it to be accurate, because people do look back at the minutes and they don't go back to the recording. And if something is written that was incorrect about what was said, that's what I'm correcting. I don't go back to every set of minutes and say that. I just felt that there was something very important left out or added and stated incorrectly, in my opinion. I will accept Robin's going back through and double checking this and her edits there. But I do think it is important, if you're going to put any kind of detail in, that detail is correct, because people do look at it.
So are you purporting in your email that you sent out to the group, which, I'm not responding to any of it over the emails that you sent, but you sent something on Monday, February 9th, and you highlighted something in green that said, but never considered reopening the school. You want to add that. What makes you think, maybe, you've got some telepathy in my head, or you are listening to every single meeting. How are you stating that was never considered?
This was something that Carla had stated, and I was going by what was said in the meeting.
Okay, but that's not a statement of fact that it was never considered to be reopened.
But in what Carla was saying, that was recording what she stated in that meeting.
If Carla wants to state that she didn't consider it, that's one thing, but that's not an accurate representation, and I don't want my name attached to that. So this is why transcript notes are not a good thing.
All right, Keenan?
But
Can I,
yeah, I'm saying it's not transcript. It was put this way, and I was just trying to correct what was actually put out there. That's all, according to what the recording said.
may I make a motion?
Carla does have her hand up, but you can make a motion.
I will move to accept the January 29th minutes as amended with Robin's edits.
All right, is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay. Now this, Carla, I'll come back to you, and your hand is up. And you can make your statement. Carla?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were doing votes first.
No, it doesn't go with votes first.
Could we
It goes with
share on the
discussion.
screen, because it seems like everyone's not following along on what the edits are? Would that be possible to share so everyone can be aligned?
It's in the packet.
Yeah, I understand.
Everyone see?
Yes.
These are the edits we are referring, or this is the paragraph that is being referred to.
Yeah, so basically that whole paragraph in black with the orange and green in it, strike the whole thing out and replace it with the paragraph that Robin wrote in that is highlighted in blue.
You all should have received the email that I sent too. Just
Yep.
let me know if you didn't.
All right, okay, Carla, is there any more discussion?
So that could be an accurate representation of what Carla said, but not necessarily accurate representations, and I'll leave it at that.
Carla, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's exactly what I said with removing some of those items. Yes, I think that represents what I said at that date.
All right. Now, are we accepting everybody? The vote is to accept the entire minutes. Does everyone accept what was proposed in the paragraphs above as well, or below? Or I think it's above in your.
I think there was no change above,
Yeah,
basically.
this is the only thing that changed, and
yeah.
Okay.
or was
All right.
proposed to be changed.
Everyone okay with
Yes.
this? Are ready to take a vote, I should say. All right. We will, seeing nobody else wanting discussion. Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Randy Rush,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Craven,
Yes.
Michael Labossiere,
Yes.
Carla Lima,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, moving on.
That, Madam Chair, that was a vote on the amendment. So we have to do a vote on the entire
Thank you, Keenan.
minutes.
Would somebody make the motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the January 29th minutes as amended.
A second.
And that is Keenan Francois and Michael Labossiere with the second. Roll call vote. Carla Lima,
Yes.
Michael Labossiere,
Yes.
Craven,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Keenan Francois,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right. Moving on in the agenda. Chairpersons. Oh, did we have any public comment?
No public comment.
No public comment. All right. And I have nothing for a chairperson's report. Superintendent Morgan. Nothing for a superintendent report.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So just a couple of quick things. I did want to just extend a huge thank you to Dave Amari and the North Middlesex Building and Grounds Department. As you know, this has been a tough winter, especially the last 48 hours have been extremely difficult. And the majority of districts that did not open today didn't open because they could not get their school grounds cleared. So their roads were fine, but their school grounds were not cleared. And unlike many districts, we rely solely on our building and grounds department to get our schools ready. They did a fantastic job. All winter long, they've been storing snow on different parts of our properties so that when we do get hit with another storm, they have a place to put the snow. And that has really helped clear our parking lot. So I just want to thank them. They have done, again, a tremendous job keeping our buildings and grounds ready. And they've done so really without a full staff and with some equipment that has been failing at times as well. So a huge thank you to Dave and his team. Also have some good news to share. Catherine Hampson, who is our nursing supervisor, was selected as a 2026 Ann Sheets Leadership, Education, and Research Awardee by the Massachusetts Association Schools Nurses Organization. Just want to go over some of the criteria for which she was awarded this. Has to be a school nurse currently working in school health, is known for qualities of leadership that were demonstrated by Ann Sheets, advocacy at the state level, collaboration with diverse organizations, which I'm sure you all know Catherine goes above and beyond at the state level as well as in our region, dissemination of important health information with the leadership team in the district, always professional, always staying current with research. And she is, of course, an MSNO member. So again, just want to congratulate Catherine Hampson. She's a huge value added to the district, always going above and beyond in her role and really creating a situation where I think we have a very strong school nursing organization within North Middlesex. And in addition to that, also wanted to congratulate Lori Sheridan, who is being recognized as the MSNO School Nurse of the Year for 2026. Lori has been a longtime nurse at the Hawthorne Brick Middle School. So again, just want to congratulate both Catherine and Lori for this recognition and bringing some positive press to the school district. And that's all I have.
That's all I have.
Until later.
Congratulations, Catherine Hampstead, and is it
Lori Sheridan.
Lori Sheridan. So thank you all for your dedication to North Middlesex, and thank you to Dave Amari and his team. I know that the snow has not been favorable this year, so
I think they'll be back at it again tonight, or tomorrow morning, I should say.
perhaps. Well, you never know. All right, moving on. Anything? Oh, superintendent or assistant superintendent, Dr. Reese, you're up next.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try a different share mod. Let's see if this works. Okay. Can you see the strategic plan? Okay. Very fancy, huh? So what I wanted to do today was just we're in our second year of our 5-year strategic plan, give kind of a mid-year quick report of some of the milestones that we've achieved over the last couple of years, with the intent of this summer providing a more detailed 2-year summary. So as you know, this is our strategic plan. There are 3 strategic initiative areas. The first around curriculum and instruction, implementing and engaging rigorous curriculum aligned with the state standards using high quality instructional practices. Our second bucket is meeting the needs of all students. So developing and expanding academic, social, and emotional learning experiences, programs, resources, and supports that meet the needs of individual student needs, interests, and goals of our students. And then the third around climate, culture, and community, which really involves establishing and revising the district and community initiatives that foster a climate and culture of respect and belonging. So within your packet, I'm not going to go through this item by item, but just to give you a sense, what I did was on the left-hand column, looked at some of the major milestones that we had identified for each area. So the first is our curriculum instruction milestone. And then on the right side, I identified some of the updates or progress that we made in that area. So just as an example, for this page, as you can see, one of the areas of focus was on getting our elementary programming using scientifically researched and highly rated instructional materials across the core content areas. We've been deep into our EL program for ELA, illustrative math for our math program. A couple years ago, we started implementing Project Lead the Way at the elementary level. So we're continuing to work on that. At the middle school level, we've started with Open SciEd in grades 6 through 8. And then in social studies, the focus has been more around middle school over the past few years with investigating history in grades 5 through 7. Most recently last year, going into this school year, we received a grant for implementing DKP, Democratic Knowledge Project, for our grade 8. We also have received some support as the state has started to introduce investigating history in grades 3 and 4. That's a new program for them. And so last year they had some districts piloting it. This year we have some of our teachers that have been invited to attend some professional development with the intent of implementing that into the next school year. So you can see the different areas, the focus on high quality instructional practices in the professional development that's been done. And then we still have some areas that we need to continue to work on, just around having educators, working groups in all grade bands regularly evaluating curriculum materials. That's an ongoing step that we need to do within the curriculum and instruction area. When you get into the meeting the needs of all students, one of the big areas of focus for our milestones was around having an established portrait of a learner model with core competencies and grade cluster learning expectations, and also establishing some type of platform for students to be able to capture how they're meeting those core competencies. In the past 2 years, we've been working on this. This year, there's been a huge focus during the high school's professional learning community days, as well as early release, late start professional development days. I've linked in there the timeline that the high school is using to be able to engage in conversations both within departments, across departments, and then come to some consensus around the competencies, as well as what does that look like? So when you take one of these competencies, what does it look like for a student when they're in a science class, when they're in a math class, when they're in a physical education class? How are they able to demonstrate that they're meeting that competency? So that's the work that's going on there. The other big area within the meeting the needs of all students is the multi-tiered system of support, which is continuing to be a work in progress for us. We've got some professional development going on for our leadership team this year. While I don't have the data here, we're seeing some really positive data in terms of reductions in the number of referrals for special education services, increased use of our intervention support systems, so that we're trying to provide supports to students prior to moving to an evaluation for special education. So we've got some good data that I'll share at the summer, kind of the end of the year progress, but I wanted to give you a sense of some of the things we're working on. Again, there's still some work that we need to do in there for meeting the needs of all students, looking at a task force around meeting the needs of our gifted and talented students, working on really solidifying a more comprehensive counseling program for students, particularly around helping them make decisions for their future. And then developing a workforce prepared to help provide access to grade level content to our multilingual learners. So those are kind of upcoming work areas for us. And then the third area is around the climate, culture, and community. And I think really the area that we can celebrate is the work that's been done, particularly by Robin Ivy, around just getting things posted online, getting things to various platforms, really highlighting and celebrating the great work that's happening in the district. And as we all know, sometimes people want to post things that maybe isn't so positive about the district. What we've seen is the more that we can put out the great things that are happening, that offsets some of the negative comments that might appear on social media, because we really can't engage on social media when those things happen. So our goal is to provide accurate information when things are being reported that might not be as accurate, as well as really highlighting the positive things that are happening in the district. And I, want to commend Ms. Ivy for the work she's done over the past couple of years with that. Again, we'll have some data this summer just to talk about that level of engagement, but I just wanted really to give a high level progress update today. And then just developing family partnerships. That's something that last year we tried to start through having some strategic planning community meetings, but it's something that we need to do some more work in. We see it a lot through our Title I programming, but Title I only happens at the elementary levels. So we really need to see how do we better engage families in the community and develop a robust family engagement program. So that's upcoming. So again, I just wanted today just to give you that high level overview of where we are with our strategic plan.
Thank you, Gary. I have one highlight that you didn't mention, and it's the literacy night. Could you mention that tonight, because that's coming up in the next week?
Yes. So for the last year, we had our first annual family literacy night through our Title I program. And it was a really great success. We had staff members, community members, students who helped run different stations, and students and their families were able to come and have a book read to them, do bingo, do other literacy games and activities, and just travel around the cafeteria to be able to participate in some activities. We do have one upcoming again this year, and I don't have the date in front of me. Ms. Martin, do you have the date?
Is it March 3rd? I think it's on a Wednesday, correct? 4th.
So it is March 4th.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling it up right now for my benefit so I can make sure to give you the accurate information. Give me 1 second.
No, I heard positive things about it last year, and I think it's one thing that we need to highlight and get families
so
to come.
This year, it's going to be our second one. It's happening March 4th from 5:30 to 7 in the Commons and Annex at the North Middlesex Regional High School. There'll be hands-on literacy activities, reading and word games. There'll be a variety of stations. And again, I want to commend and thank the Title I staff for really taking the lead for this activity, along with Ms. Camo as the director of Title I.
Thank you, Gary. All right, Randy.
Thank you, Gary. I really appreciate all the work that's gone in and the work that the entire district is doing towards these strategic plan going forward. I would like to just request, there's a lot of things in here that you refer to very data or tangible things that we can see. It would be wonderful if we can see like progress of what the IXL is showing that we're making in the reading and the math that's mentioned here, just to see the data and be able to have that tangible. Any of the reports or updated plans that get made, it'd be really great to see the differences and see what's being updated in the district for us, just to kind of see that progress and actually know the details of what's going on and all the good work that's happening.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's my goal for kind of a summer project and to be able to get it all out for everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim Craven.
Great work. I appreciate you sharing with us the advances that you're making and for proactively pointing out some of the limiting factors that you're encountering as well. If you could just let me and the rest of the group know, like, are there needs that we can help you with in any way? You know, are there gaps that you have that we need to be thinking about? And the other question I had is for the literacy, are you able to apply and do you apply to the North Central Mass Literacy Fund? I know it's not open again until April, but have you had the opportunity to apply for that particular grant?
We did not apply for that grant for this particular activity, but we have applied for other grants, actually one this evening through the North Central Mass. So, and we're actually looking at another one as well. So I'll keep my eye out for that one. I didn't see that one.
I'll be sure to send it to you when it comes out, but it might be helpful for us to know, like, of those gaps that you're seeing, maybe a prioritized list. And I know not everyone is always looking at grants, but because of the work that I do, a fair number of them do come across my desk, that if I knew which ones were, still there in the gaps, you summarized them really well in your narrative, but I would be happy to keep an eye out for opportunities for the district.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We did actually have that literacy grant the year or a couple of years prior to me coming in, and we were able to get some online literacy access for students so they could access books at home. But the funding for that went away, and then they were looking for us to capture that into our budget, and we just weren't able to at that time.
Thank you.
Ian.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great work that you and your team are doing, and get this pushed out and get the district moving along as the years go by. I saw here in this document, I think there's one or two task forces that have yet to be started and will be in the upcoming years. When that time comes around, if you're looking for some committee members to serve on it, or maybe just average community members, I think it'd be great to just send us an email, give us a shout. It's something that I'd love to be part of if I can.
Absolutely. So that is being recorded, Keenan. So when it comes up,
yeah. Well, I will remind you credits ever again. So
I will remind you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say, be careful, Keenan, what you volunteer for. They'll have you on speed dial. All right. Any more questions? And thank you, Dr. Reese, for working on this and advancing the district. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of work and your entire team. So thank you.
It's a team effort, and we've got a wonderful team here. So I appreciate being part of that.
All right. Moving on to our new business. The annual review of safety protocols is going to be pushed to the next meeting. Whoops. Okay, go ahead, Superintendent Morgan.
Thank you. I just wanted to let everyone know this was a last-minute cancellation because we thought it was very important that the school resource officer be involved in this presentation with Ms. Smith. Unfortunately, the school resource officer got held up in California with a flight cancellation with yesterday's storm, and actually isn't. I think he's on his way back now after multiple flights from a car ride from Connecticut, coming back home now. So where many of you have not met Officer Silvestri before, it was really going to be his first opportunity to introduce himself to all of you. And also be a part of that presentation because he's been actively involved in all of the training that has happened this year with regard to safety protocol. So that's why it was canceled. We just found out that he was not going to be able to make it here this evening. So it will be moved to the March meeting just at some point during the budget adoption meeting. That's it.
Thank you, Superintendent Morgan. Moving on to pre-K tuition. Ms. Upton.
Hi. So we are not proposing any changes to the tuition for FY27 for preschool. The preschool rates have increased 9% over the past 2 years, 5% in 2025, and then 4% in 2026. And we currently have quite a few openings, which could be related to maybe families not being able to afford the tuition. I'm not sure. Our tuition is definitely competitive with other districts and what they're charging. So I think we're in a good place. We're hoping to do some more recruiting for FY27 to try to fill all those slots with community peers.
Any questions? Keenan?
When you say quite a few openings, is that just from what you've just been seeing? Do you think that's just attrition from aging out and then not getting replaced, or is it move outs?
I definitely think that we did have quite a few students move on to kindergarten last year. And I think that when we posted the slots and started reaching out to families to let them know that we could accommodate having their child, in some cases they had already secured preschool for the upcoming year. I think families do that, so early because there are sometimes waiting lists. So I'm hoping that we can really stay on top of that this year and be notifying families very quickly that, we have a spot for their child.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Ms. Upton, can you just explain what the balance has to be in the pre-K program so that the committee understands?
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
So our preschool programs are special education programs, which means that we can have up to 7 students in our integrated classrooms, of which we have 4 integrated classrooms. 7 students can have disabilities with an IEP and receive services, and we can have up to 8 community peers who do not have a disability and who do not require special education services. So the balance is always 51-49%. Our steps pre-K is smaller. We can only have a maximum of 9 students because it's considered a substantially separate program with no community peers in the program.
Thank you.
Randy?
Thank you, Erin. Just out of curiosity, if we don't get the students with no IEPs, does that do anything with the program? Is there anything that has to happen if we don't have that correct ratio?
So we don't have to reduce the number of students with disabilities in those circumstances. We do just try to balance out the classrooms so that there's always community peers in every classroom.
Okay, great. And just in the future, it'd be really nice if we can have some of this down on writing. When you talk about that we're comparative to the other districts, it's nice to see the numbers and which districts you're comparing us to, just to have that down on paper so we have data and we all know what is being talked about. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for that feedback.
Any other questions? Is this something we need to vote on? The pre-K tuition? Have we voted on it in the past?
We voted on increases in the past, yes. I'm not sure if we have to vote on I'm not sure if we have to vote where we are not recommending an increase. We probably have to vote that the committee agrees.
Okay.
I think there's no harm in a vote.
There's no harm in a vote here.
And it was proposed that we're maintaining the current rates. No change.
Yes.
Okay. I move that the school committee recommend to maintain the current pre-K tuition rates for the 2026-2027 school year.
A second.
So that was Keenan Francois and Lisa Bloom with a second. It is a roll call vote. Any more discussion before I take the vote? Randy.
I would really like to have of anything that we're going to have votes on, that we have things in writing. It's very hard to think of questions on the spot when we're just receiving the information in the meeting, to really, especially when it comes to anything monetary. This is not an increase. It's a little bit easier than if we were being asked for an increase, but it's still, something financial, and we should see information so that we can evaluate it properly before taking any kind of votes on them.
Right. So then can I recommend that we table it?
Can I just ask a question to that? Miss Upton, as you had said before, that families need to start securing slots. They obviously need to know a tuition number. So if we delay this to, we have a lot to do in March. So if we delay this to March, are we going to be behind the ball, do you think, on anything?
I think that we could be if we were proposing an increase and it were to the rates and they were being tabled. But since we're not proposing an increase, I think, we can start reaching out to families who are interested and telling them to register and start working on those pieces.
Thank you. I understand your position, Randy. I think this one is pretty cut and dry, but it depends what everyone else has to say. I'm just one person. I think this one is probably fine, but it's up to the committee.
I'm fine to move to a vote.
Carla?
Yeah, I agree that I think it would be tangible just to have it, just so we can compare. I mean, you said we did increase in the last 2 years, 5% and 4%, and I know there were some concerns about younger parents about enrolling at that rate last year, at least from what I recall, being as a parent on this committee, just listening in, not as an actual school committee member. So I know we're not proposing an increase, staying as is, but I think it would be nice to have it tangible, like what is the actual rate, what is the cost, and what are we comparing to in the nearby district? Are parents bringing kids other places, or could we wheel them in so that we don't have vacancies, as you mentioned?
Brad?
I was just going to say, again, where there isn't a recommendation for an increase, I'm not sure why we wouldn't vote this evening. There has been talk about increases, financial increases on the district, whether it be activity fees, fees for plays, pre-K, things like that. And we have presented the increases in the past with how we compare to other districts, and where we are in a situation where I think there is some concern about filling seats, and we're not recommending an increase. I'm not sure why it would be delayed, but certainly that's at the committee's discretion.
Randy?
Just throwing it out there, if we have that many empty seats and we're that concerned, the committee could always decide to reduce the rates if we had the data in front of us to take a look at. It's just one scenario that's a possibility if we had information in front of us.
Keenan?
I'll move to question.
Okay. All right, so we are taking a vote to see about the tuition rates for pre-K. Keenan?
Yes.
Lisa Bloom? Lisa Bloom?
You cut out. I'm sorry. Yes.
Randy Rush?
I'll abstain.
Carla Lima?
I'll abstain as well.
Michael LeBossiere?
Yes.
And myself is yes.
About me.
Oh, Kim Craven?
I'm a yes.
All right.
Kim Craven, yes.
Hidden on my screen. All right. Keenan, do you still have a question?
Nope, sorry. Didn't put my hand down.
That's okay. Moving on, van pool contract extension. Superintendent Morgan.
That is Ms. Upton.
Oh, Miss Upton.
Yes, hi. I do have the documentation that is also in your packet. Would you like me to share that on screen? Would that be helpful? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So this year, we are in our final year of a 3-year contract with Vanpool. When I started working in the district, I prioritized working with Vanpool and collaborating with them to improve systems, processes for the district, for our students, for our families. I heard many concerns when I first started about many different issues around Vanpool. I have, in working with Vanpool administration, I found them to be communicative, responsive, and receptive to feedback, and then also continuously working to improve their own systems and processes, which has been really positive. New this year, they introduced a safety person who, in addition to training their drivers and monitors on the standard trainings, they visit each school for an AM drop-off and a PM pickup. And they rotate each day. So they visit in district and out of district schools conducting safety checks with the drivers and monitors. Vanpool purchased 54 new vehicles this year, new wheelchair vans, and they're moving towards a push-to-talk tablet so that they can speak with individual drivers or just NM drivers as a group, for example. They've also started using a system called Beacon Connect, where minor incidents are shared with 2 of us in the special education office. We receive an instant email as soon as an incident is documented, and so that we can respond and inform the schools or the parents, but parents are also always called if there's been a serious safety concern. So our contract is due to end this June with an optional 2-year extension. In connecting with administration at Vanpool, we increased by 5% for fiscal years 25 and 26. The minimum increase documented in the contract was 4%, and we were able to secure that for fiscal years 27 and 28.
Any questions? Randy?
These rates are per bus for the day, or are these rates per route, with a specific or per, with something to do with mileage? What do these rates represent?
Sure, great question. So the rates are per day, per
Okay.
van.
So we don't get charged
not per van.
for the mileage out to any particular school. It's per the van, no matter how many miles that they drive for the day.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Anyone from the committee? We do have to take a vote on the contract extension. Does somebody want to make a motion?
We have that in the agenda.
There's not a motion in the
That's not a
agenda.
motion in the agenda. All right. Well, I move that we accept the 2-year contract extension for the 2-year Vanpool contract extension for fiscal year 27 and 28.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Can I have a question too?
Yes. So now, okay, so that was Michael Labossiere with the motion and Keenan Francois with the second. Now, Keenan, you can ask your question. Discussion.
Miss Upton or Mr. Morgan, Miss Upton, I don't know if you were there in finance. It's been a while since we talked about this. If my memory serves me correctly, I just want to make sure before I take this vote. Vanpool has been good to us historically. We don't typically get other bids for special education, and um, we've been treated well as far as I'm aware. So there should be no other fiscal or monetary reason that we shouldn't take this. Correct?
I will let Ms. Upton answer at least a portion of the question. But as far as whether or not we should move in this direction, I would say that 2-3 years ago, complaints about Vanpool were regularly making their way to me, and they were very frequent. I have not heard anything in probably the last year and a half. So yeah, I do think that something that Ms. Upton has done is she has addressed the issues that were there and has developed a very collaborative relationship with Vanpool to the point where the issues, if there are issues, they're certainly not making it. They're not making it to me anymore, and they were making it to me on a regular basis previously. I don't know, Ms. Haynes or Ms. Upton, if you want to talk about additional bids. I know that special education transportation is extremely hard to find, and that it's also a different process as opposed to the yellow school buses.
I could just mention that we did quite a few years ago go out to bid, just to see if who might bid on the contract, and we had a few interested parties, but in the end, we did only receive one bid. So it's not required to bid this. Is exempt from 30B. The special education transportation is exempt, so it's not required. And I think, again, our track record of getting other bidders is pretty minimal.
Randy or Aaron, did you have anything?
I was just going to add to that to answer Keenan's question on my own behalf, to say that I have been, I've had a really positive relationship with the administration at Vanpool, and we really have developed a very collaborative, responsive relationship, which is great for our students and our families. I do not receive regular complaints, if any complaints, about Vanpool. But when families do reach out, we respond and we take action on those, which they have very much appreciated.
Randy.
Thank you, Erin, for all of your work with them. It sounds like it's been well worth your time and has benefited the students and the families in the district. So thank you. Quick question. I just want to make sure that there's nothing else in the contract that is changing other than just adding on the last 2 years.
That's correct.
Okay. And again, just the sooner we can get this kind of information, especially when it's a contract. We have 6 members, I think, that have been on the committee well after this was originally signed. So 6 members have never seen this contract before, and we're asking them to approve a contract and put their name on a contract that they may or may not have had much time to read. So just for the future, if we can get this, 4 or 5 days ahead of time when we're supposed to get the information from our packet, that would be helpful for all members. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Kim Craven.
Thank you. We're probably in a tough position because this contract is already signed, and not being able to delve into all the clauses. I know Mike will shake his head and laugh at me. I always want to go back to our vendors and say, hey, our municipalities are in a tight spot. Is there anything that you can do? Obviously, their salary costs have gone up, but the fuel costs right now compared to what they were in 2024 are considerably lower. So maybe even if they were to go down a little bit on that line item, I saw that, they're consistently going up, even for this year, if they would give any consideration. I would certainly appreciate a look at it. I don't know if we have time to go back to them and ask, for a little bit of consideration.
Carla? Or does anyone want to answer that? Brad, Nancy, or Miss Upton?
Ms. Upton, do you have any idea on what the time frame is?
For responding to the contract,
Yes.
it would be this spring, I would think. But if we're going to be looking elsewhere, we are probably a little behind if we're going to start getting other vendors involved. I did speak with them about the rate. Again, we went up 5% the past few years. So the minimum rate that they would increase would be 4%. That is noted at the bottom of the contract that was signed back in 2024.
Right, I see that, and I see their staffing costs are going up, understandable, but the routes themselves, appear to be going up about $10 or so for in district and out of districts, a little bit more. I would think that part of that is factoring in fuel when they did the bid, and in 2024, fuel costs were pretty high at that time, and they're much lower now, sometimes 40 cents a gallon lower. Just for looking out for our communities and budget, if they were willing to go on, a little bit lower, and us not going out to look for other vendors. And I always feel like it's worth an ask with our partners to see what they can do.
We can certainly pose the question, for sure.
Carla Lima.
Yes. So thank you so much for the work that you've been doing and collaborating with them. I know it's not easy when you're trying to bring things up to speed. I think from my understanding is that they're renewing at the minimum rate that was originally agreed upon on the contract, right? So they're not going above that minimum. And I know when it comes to, special needs, it's really challenging for the kids when there's changes and they, get used to being in a particular van. They get used to being with particular people. And anytime there's a change, it's a huge impact on a child. Coming from my kid, he hates being on a school bus, so we drive him in. So I think if it's a reasonable price, and it's also challenging to get someone to bid on these, and they're going up the minimum that we had initially agreed on. I think, it's worthwhile if they're doing great and the collaboration with the kids and everyone else is working well, because I know kids, especially in special programs, they do not do well with changes and seeing different buses and different seats and everything else. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Anyone else have any questions? Anyone? Are we ready for a vote? Ready for a vote? All right. Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yes.
Michael Bossier.
Yes.
Kim Craven.
I'll abstain.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
Randy Rush.
Yes.
And myself is yes. All right, moving on to the letter to legislators, to the State House. This is something we did last year, and so I'm just bringing it forward to ask if the committee would like to do this again. And I'll propose a letter next meeting to bring back to everybody to look at, and we can edit and get the information to what our budget is and send it forward to the House, our House representatives and senators. Is that something that everyone would like to do?
Yeah. Anything more that we can do to try to move the needle on the issue of school budgets in the State House, even if it's just a little bit.
Yes. Anyone else have any comments on it? Does anyone else want to help write the letter?
I'm happy to help write it.
Okay. Anyone else? Keenan? Should we put it to your subcommittee? Keenan?
The 3 of us are on the subcommittee, so yes, we can just do that.
We will take it to the subcommittee then. All right, moving on. The health grant, the Neshoba Valley Health Grant. Dr. Reese.
Thank you. Let me just pull it up. We have received another grant. This is through, I might not finding. Through the Community Foundation of North Central Massachusetts. It's their FY26 Neshoba Valley Community Health Grant. And the purpose of the grant is to award funds to the 12 communities in the North Central region to support community health care. This particular grant focused on programs that improve access to quality health care for residents of the Neshoba Valley region. And so what we did was apply for it, and I worked with Catherine Hampson on this, looking at how do we remove barriers to expand access and opportunities for students to access and receive quality behavioral health supports. We applied with 3 different activities under the grant. The first being to establish a space and supports for students to be able to Zoom in with outside therapists and supports, to be able to have those types of mental health access. That might be, the barrier might be transportation, it might be timing, and to be able to provide a space where the students could do that. The second being around behavioral health education, with a focus on providing our staff with mental health first aid training. And then the third being what we're calling preventative care under the grant, which is really doing a community health fair in the fall of 2026. So we applied for 20,000. We've received 20,000, which was the maximum award they had indicated that they would consider. So we're thrilled to be able to get that, have that opportunity.
Congratulations on that. And that will be a great addition to our community for this grant. Anybody have any questions about the grant? All right, I'll take a motion to accept the grant.
I will move that the school committee vote to accept the FY26 Neshoba Valley Community Health Grant in the amount of $20,000.
Second.
That is Katie Francois and then Kim Craven with a second. Any questions about the grant before we take a vote? All right. No, seeing no questions. Michael Bossier.
Yes.
Randy Rush.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yes.
Kim Craven.
Yes.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
Keenan Francois.
Yes.
And myself is yes. So thank you for the work on the grant, and Catherine for helping as well.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. We are at a revised calendar.
Yes, I can do that. So thank you. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, we had a formula issue with the last one that ended up with an error in it. So what we did have to do in the challenge is obviously that Labor Day is falling very as late as it possibly can on September 7th next year. So that puts us in a situation where we have to look at the start date that makes sense, but also look at June to make sure that we are getting out at a reasonable time and giving us some flexibility should we have a difficult winter. So what we did do was move the new employee orientation back to the third week of August, the 19th and the 20th, and we have done that previously. And then having the 2 staff professional days on Monday and Tuesday, the 24th and 25th, and then the first day of school being the 28th of August, which is a Wednesday. That does give us the ability to get in a handful of school days prior to the Labor Day holiday. And again, to me, it always works to our advantage that we do start before Labor Day because it allows, the introductions, allows the teachers to, go through, at the high school level, what their syllabus may be at the middle and elementary level around class procedures and routines. it generally works out really well. So the recommendation for this is, again, that we're starting on the 19th and 20th with new employee orientation. And then the last day of school without snow days would be Friday, June 11th.
Anyone have any questions? Randy?
I just want to make sure that this has been cleared with the union, because I believe having that earlier start where we have done it in the past, it's always been cleared through the union.
It was shared and we did not receive any negative feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any questions? Then I will entertain a motion to accept the calendar for next year.
So moved.
All right,
second.
And Lisa Bloom on the second. Michael Labossiere.
Yes.
Lee Rush.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yes.
Craven. Kim Craven.
Yes.
All right. Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, moving on. We are to subcommittee reports. Kim Craven, you are up first with finance.
So finance will be meeting tomorrow morning. We will be reviewing some transfers required for the FY26 budget and looking at the remaining balances. And we will also be looking at the proposed FY27 budget, any of the changes that came out of the public hearing, so that we can bring that back to a vote for the proposed budget at our next school committee meeting. There is an agenda item on the Townsend Select Board tonight for writing a letter to the school. So I'm going to try to find out what that says so that we can make that part of our discussion for consideration for the 27 budget tomorrow. With the liaison reports, I'll be anxious to see if there's any additional information from the other communities. And related to finance, on March 23rd at 11 a.m. in Lawrence, there will be a hearing like we had last year in Amherst. We really need to encourage folks to go, just like the legislative letter. This is a big part of contributing to our finances to try to get some supplemental funding. So if we could have the support of everybody on the school committee to circulate that. The fixed funding formula group that we have very active members in our town of Townsend on have been getting the information out there and posting it to social media. But to improve our financial condition, it's really important that we get that out and advertised.
Right. Moving on. Policy.
Actually, I had a question. Sorry, I had a question for finance. I would like to request that the finance subcommittee, when looking at the FY27 budget, that you take a look at what we have or what has been proposed to be for conference and travel budgeted. I was looking at that and looking at us at other districts, our DARTs, some of our DART, including Triton, which is Newberry up in that area. And we look like we have quite a bit more, about twice the amount of conference and travel budgeted in our current budget. We're on the lines in line with Groton and Dunstable on that. Not that I don't think it's important, but when we're really kind of talking about teachers in the classroom, and conference and travel, over $100,000 in our budget spread out through everything. Is there some places that we can economize and take a look at and maybe hire a teacher and reduce some of the conference and travel that we're doing?
Thanks for that input. I will say that I think we take a little bit more of a global stance of driving the numbers down. While I don't disagree that we need more teachers, I'm not to say what the day-to-day operations should be, and we are having them look, as I've explained at other meetings, at each of the different line items where they've been, but anywhere that they feel that they can peel back the funding and increase the teacher ratio. So I'm not going to say whether it's conferences or technology or what line item it is, but I agree, looking at any and all areas is important.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, Randy. Any other questions before we move to policy? All right, seeing none, Randy, go ahead.
Okay. For policy, we're going to have a meeting this morning, and with all the snow, we decided to push it off 1 week, so that the admin could concentrate on getting the schools open, and the roads. So our meeting will be next week. I do have JJH-R. Something came to my attention last minute. I had a question on something. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this for this meeting, as well as we're working on JJH, which is the main policy for this one. So I'm going to suggest to our policy subcommittee, we bring these together, the main policy with the regulations. And so there is nothing to vote on for tonight.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on to the legislative advocacy. Robin, would you join or promote Jen Fours as a panelist? She's going to talk about the community advocacy under this group. All right, Keenan, you go ahead. This is your subcommittee.
Yeah, I think I don't really have much to say. I think Jen will be able to speak for herself in the efforts in what she's doing and what she's trying to do, and how she's planning on doing it.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Forrest. How are you? Thank you for giving me a couple minutes. So I'm part of a small group in the community of our 3 communities, and in conjunction with some of our surrounding communities like Groton, Dunstable, Lunenburg. We've been working for a couple years. We worked on the override stuff. We work on the state level stuff. We are in the process of gaining traction with the supplemental funding that we got last year. We fought really hard for that. That was a lot. It was a big uphill process, but we did a pretty good job. We encourage people to write letters. We give you guys templates. We bring people to come speak. We've had a number of speakers. We've had some school committee members speak. We've had Brad come speak. We've had Margaret Scarsdale, who works closely with us. In November, we put on a conference at one of the Groton schools, where we put panels together with the 3 towns, the 3 districts, Groton, North Middlesex, and Lunenburg, where we had speakers, including teachers, doctors, town administrators, and such, come in and talk about how bad we're drowning, how much help we need. So really, we're looking for anybody in the community, whether you have kids in district like I do, or you're just a community member who's struggling to pay your taxes but doesn't want to see your school suffer. We're looking for people to join us. We're looking for people to support us. We're looking for people to make some noise. It doesn't take a lot of effort, it just takes a little bit of effort. We're certainly very helpful in guiding you. We recently hooked up with Mars. Mars is the regional, Brad, maybe you could elaborate. I forget what their acronym means, but they're the big Project 211 group, the regional district group that does a lot of the mandating for all the regional districts, that does a lot of the fundraising, that does a lot of the policy making. They've hooked up with us. We've hooked up with the MTA. We do a lot of stuff with the union now to make sure that we piggyback the, kind of the big guns that are doing all of the talking at the state house level. So we're certainly looking for people in the community to join us. I think Brad is going to send out in his weekly blast or monthly blast that he does to the district our contact information. We have a wonderful website that we just posted, the Ways and Means meeting that Kim mentioned. That's the opportunity for people in the community to sit in, whether you join, virtually, or sit in and listen about what is going on in the education realm and how you can influence the changes, what they're going after as far as state funding between the 2 different House and the Senate. And then there's a meeting at the State House where last year Brad spoke. Actually, Carla spoke. That's the first time we met Carla. She came and spoke on behalf of us. There was a Pepperell TA. There was, I think the Townsend TA came. So we had a really great panel there last year. It's very impactful to hear what's going on with our schools. I think especially this year with the school closure and the massive cuts that we've made in the last few years with all the teachers being lost, we really need to continue to speak up. The supplemental funding is helpful, but it's not enough. And over the last few years, the Fix the Funding formula, which is the website we'll send to you, has gained a lot of traction with other towns saying, wow, there's people who are, getting together and really starting to try to move this forward. They just released the numbers. Project 211 was originally the 211 schools out of all the 300 plus in the state that were designated hold harmless and were really drowning for funding. Well, now they're up to 272. So that list of schools is coming out in the near future, I think this week, from what I'm understanding. And there will certainly be people who are looking to join us. So if we can get our group to continue to grow, it really is helpful for people to see that parents can make a big difference, community members make a big difference. And if you can't join us, you can certainly write a letter. You can go on the website. We've made it so user-friendly. All you have to do is click, type in a few things about yourself and sign it and send it off. And it goes to all the people who are on the committee. But they do like to hear from you. The few things that have been said over and over and over again are they want to hear your story. They want to hear about your kids. They want to hear about you've lived in Ashby for 50 years and we closed your school. They want to hear you live in Townsend and yes, I don't have kids in the district, but my taxes are so high and they want to hear all these things from you. So you don't have to just have kids in the district, but you can be a community member and speak up. So we would really love for you to do that. And if anybody, you can certainly find me. We're on all the school pages. Kelly is one of my partners in crime. You can certainly find her as well. And Brad will send out the information. So we appreciate any help. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if I can answer them. Questions? Try.
Thank you, Jen and Kelly, for doing all the advocacy. It has helped us a lot with our district and getting our name out there. And I know it takes a whole community. So I appreciate you continuing to push for that and getting people involved. We do need a bigger voice. So continue the good work. Thank you. Kim Craven.
Thanks. Thanks, Jen, and thanks, Kelly, for everything that you're doing. I think it's really important that each of us on the committee really promote this. As I said in the finance update, what they're doing, they're in their third year of this now. Between they had the override that they were trying for, and this is part of the reason why I'm on the school committee, because it didn't pass, and trying to find a long-term solution. And we can't let them stand alone. They're doing a lot of advocacy work for us. So even if each of us can just, find 4 new people in our communities that did not write a letter before and get them motivated, it's really important that we get that information down there. It really does make a difference, being down there at the State House and running into some legislators that I knew, and, they noticed like, you guys are getting a lot of letters in. Let's do it again this year. And hopefully we can get this funding formula fixed once and for all, and that we will be in a very different position in years to come. But it's, their work and what they're doing consistently is really supporting all of the schools. So a debt of gratitude to them.
Thank you, Kim. Just something else I wanted to mention. We've spent a significant amount of time in the grand scheme of our advocacy, sitting with Nancy and Kevin and Brad and Gary where we could to find out what we need to target, what helps our teachers, what helps our programming, what helps restore, what we've lost and all of those things. So it's a very thoughtful, while we know we're at the state level, and that's really where all the problems lie. If we fix that piece, we would, it's the trickle down effect, right? But we've been very thoughtful of going up and looking outside of the box, which is hard. And especially as a parent, you don't know how to help. So we've really looked outside and after certain different avenues. And Nancy and Brad and Gary and Kevin have worked really hard hard to get us the numbers for the average person to understand so that we can target, those places. And sitting with the state reps, Cronin and Scarsdale, they're working hard. It's not an easy process. I am not a political person and I've learned a lot about this, but definitely to hear from parents and to hear from community members makes the most difference is what we've heard kind of across the board. So definitely you don't have to know a lot about any of it to get involved.
Anyone else have any more questions or comments?
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. All right. Anything else, Keenan? You are good.
No.
All right. Moving on to operations. There's nothing in operations. Community outreach. Carla with Ashby.
I have nothing.
You have nothing?
No.
I do have an update from Pepperell. They have asked Andrew McLean, the town administrator, did reach out to me and asked that we really consider bringing our budget down. I will forward the email to the finance and on to everyone about the request. They are running into issues again, like snow removal and things that they are very highly concerned about in this next coming year. So, but I will forward the message, and I said that I would tell everyone tonight. Kim.
Did they give a specific number at this point, or did they just ask for additional consideration?
They did give a number. I'd have to go back and find the email. I'll forward it on to you, Kim, and I'll forward it on to everyone, so everyone has the letter.
Okay. And I know you said you do that. I just didn't know if you'd have time before the meeting tomorrow.
I'll send it out after this meeting tonight to everyone. I just didn't have a chance before.
Yeah, no problem. I understand. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Anything else on future agenda items?
We didn't touch on Townsend. I don't have anything for Townsend,
Oh,
but
Townsend,
I don't know.
sorry.
I don't know if Randy has anything.
No, unfortunately, I have not been in touch with Valerie. I can certainly reach out. I don't know if she's available this evening. I'm not sure how they've been having really long meetings, if they're having a meeting tonight. But I can certainly reach out tomorrow and see if they have anything, updated from their meeting tonight.
All right. Anything else? Oh, Kim Craven.
Yeah. So, Randy, I am going to try, and Keenan, to find out what was discussed. But if I miss that at the meeting, or I can't find somebody that watched it, if either of you do talk with Select Board Member Goodrich between now and tomorrow morning and can get that information for our meeting, I know it's really a quick turnaround. I'd just love to have it in hand. Then would have the most up to date from Townsend and Pepperell.
Right. And I got the thumbs up and a head nod from Randy saying that they would get that information. Anyone else have anything? All right. It is 7:24, and I think we are complete, correct?
6 minutes early.
Hey.
We got a good streak going on. Let's see if we can.
Those are precious minutes.
All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, wow.
That was a popular second right there.
Yeah.
It was a popular second. I'm going to give that to Kim. Sorry. So that was Michael Lavoisier with the motion and Kim with a second. My computer keeps freezing. Michael.
Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Carla Lima.
Yes.
Craven.
Craven, I'm a yes.
And yes, for me. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.